Hi, my name is Graversen, and today I'll share something about that I learned about Cloud for Customer and how you can deal with that using SAP Process Orchestration. This was delivered at the Tech at Las Vegas, but I know not everybody was able to attend that, so that's why I'm recording this again. So it's the same slides. I'm just going through it again, and hopefully you didn't attend. Well, you attended there and just want it again, or you didn't attend the ticket and just want to get updated on what kind of experiences that I have with this. So what I'll be covering today is what our project was. I'll talk a bit about the connectivity we had on this, what is delivered by the SAP standard, um, how do we deal with custom fields, and then how did we perform our synchronization. So my name is Graversen, and I've been an XI consultant, PI consultant since 2004. So almost 10 years now. And I've been a SAP mentor for a period of time, and I'm currently working as a freelance consultant in Denmark, but have done consulting, I guess, all over the world, from some of the biggest SAP clients to one of the biggest. So a wide range of customers. And I've done one project where we did a Cloud for Customer integration, where we had to go more into that project. So it's based on that project I'm sharing this with you. Well, I guess my goal of this is to give you a heads up on and learn much more about what it's all about and make your integration faster. So if I'm successful at that, that's my aim with this. So the focus on our project was to synchronize SAP Cloud for Customer with some of the internal data that there was. So the client had an internal system that dealt with these kind of data. We're using SAP Process Orchestration as middleware, so it was nice also getting some experience with that. So the goal was to synchronize customers, addresses and contacts in both directions. So if you created a customer in the Cloud for Customer system, it would synchronize directly into the ERP system, the third-party system. ERP is not a part of the integration yet, and that's probably in the pipeline, so in a bit. But just got some insight on that, and that's what I would be sharing in that section. So my work was just on the integration, but I guess whenever you are a bit technical, you and see something else, you get into what they are doing and figure out how those systems work and see if you can do anything regarding those. So interfaces, the way Cloud for Customer works, and I guess when I say Cloud for Customers, it's also Business by Design, and they're sharing a common platform. So my view is that the interfaces must also be alike. So in it you have a lot of business objects, and the way development is done is you create a business object, and with that you populate data, and you can then expose those as web services. And there's two types. There's the query and the manage. That, well, obviously you could get the data or you can update the data, so it depends on what you want to deal with. And then there's some interfaces that have create or trigger interfaces that triggers whenever something happens. But the other two, those are involved when you from the third-party system want something from the Cloud for Customer system. I think after I took this list, it seemed like there's a few more interfaces there. So they are adding all the time, but this is the normal business objects that they exist here. And most of these would have a query. So the API is quite self-explanatory, as I would say. The field names is quite easy to deal with. There's some documentation on each interface, what it does in a high level, but it's not going all the way down to the field level and describing, well, if you want to deal with this or deal with this, this is what you want to have done. So for in it, there's also some different objects that you can deal with, and these, on all of these objects, you have these 6 objects, and normally I'm just using 04, that's just saving those data and updating it. I created a blog on what you wanted to do if you want to have updating roles can be a bit challenging. If you have a customer that has a certain role, then and want to change it to a new customer, new owner, whatever it is, then you have to first delete the old one and then create a new one. With that, I would just say, okay, if I say save, it should update, but it's not, and 2 is not working either there. So that's a shame. Yes. The best way of figuring out how this explanatory works is just create the object that you want in the Cloud for Customer system, make a query on that object, get it out, and just view what do we have here, how does it work, and that would give you an insight on what works. So when we're dealing with connectivity, there's some things you need to learn before you can deal with this. And one thing is, well, Cloud for Customer just wants to use HTTPS, which is just fine. It's sending data. Yeah. Our big challenge was when we wanted to get data from the Cloud for C4C system to our internal system. We thought, well, we're just using PI, we would use the standard port 50,001, which would be a good guess. But we got some strange errors we couldn't figure out. When I tried on my own system, it worked just fine. Then we asked SAP, and it was because it's only these 7 ports or whatever it is that is allowed whenever you are dealing with this. So that was a bit frustrating, that it's not all ports that you can deal with. So it's just these ports. The IP that the server is using seems to be the same. So you could put a filter in saying it's only when these comes here. But I would say within systems like that, you're not sure on if that IP address would change at some point and how you're going to deal with that. So probably find a better way of making this. So we didn't want to expose all of our PI system to the internet. So that's where reverse proxies is really useful. And there's 2 ways to create a reverse proxy. Well, I guess there's a lot of ways you can use when dealing with this. So we have the Cloud for Customer system out here, and we want to get into our PO system behind it here. And normally you would have a port in the firewall saying we want to get access for 3, and all traffic that comes to this port will be routed into our reverse proxy. The reverse proxy would then get a request that's XI, so something that's the request that we define in the PO system. So the reverse proxy there you can define some rules that says if you come with, for instance, a URL that's called dear or whatever, everything else but these allowed URLs will just ignore the request. So it's kind of a firewall that does more value than just thinking of these data. So there's a number of hardware boxes you can get for the reverse proxy. You can use Apache or whatever. It's a huge amount. You just have to find the one that you want to be using. And then obviously when you get the XI proxy, will just be sent into the PO system. And if there's response going back, there's no problem there. So we didn't have a reverse proxy and we didn't want to get the infrastructure up in place. So what we did was we essentially used the ICM, which is the web dispatcher of the PI, to do this kind of filtering. So in that one you can create the filter so we would open for port 443 in this one, or whatever it was, I can't remember, something like that. And then we say, okay, if the request is on this one, we would only allow it if it was on the XI SOAP. So if someone used internally here called the PI, they would still go through the ICM, but the filter would not be active because it was just looking at this port for the requests. So it was a good workaround to figure out how we can deal with this in an easier way. So the way we did that was we changed this file, and here we added this small script that just say, well, if the port is this, then if it does not match this, then reject the message, and we just have to change this one to whatever message is coming in. And we would probably have extended it also and say, okay, and the center system needs to be whatever the center system is. So we could have added more fields to it, but I think this was sufficient. And then what you got if you tried to access with any other URL, you would just get access denied, and that was that. So next topic, the SAP standard packages. Whenever you buy this, there's some standard packages for Cloud for Customer that contains for the master data, there's two scenarios, one for the messages coming from SAP to the cloud system, and the other one from the cloud system to the SAP system. Here we have the from, I guess it's from the Cloud for C4C system to the SAP backend system. And there's also some scenarios for sales that will allow you to synchronize those data. It's currently not in our scope, so that's I'm not sure how it works. I saw some of the iDocs that we're using. It's just normal iDocs that it's using. It's working okay, but you have to figure out how to just configure those new business person types. It's delivered in 3 packages that you need to install on your system, and you can find them in the service marketplace, I think it was. We have something about external numbering. I think I'll be covering that in a later slide. Well, whenever you are dealing with an ERP system or anything like that for a customer, you always end up with, well, we have something special that no one else has thought about, and that's great. So what you need to do is you need to figure out how do we deal with this and add that to our attributes or to these business opening, and the system works just fine. It's easy to add new fields, and it can be done without programming. So the way it works is up here you have an adapt button. You would click that and then you can adapt the screen. And if you then select, okay, this is the field, you're adding a new field down here with some extra information or whatever it is, then the next step is you just go to this field usage, and in here you'd be able to select, we have this field which so this is the internal customer number, whatever it is, and we want to expose this on this web service, and that's an easy way of adding these extra fields. And then you just download the Vestal again, and you can start mapping using those data. So if you're adding new field, you would add it to the general information and I guess to the query contracts or whatever is relevant. It's also possible to do some things with coding, and the way SAP is dealing with this is there's a SAP Cloud Application Studio, that's a Visual Studio plugin or something like that, or integrated into that. And with that, you can develop and enhance screen much more than you could with the other ones. With the other one, you have a limited set of options of what you can do. With this one, you have unlimited, no restriction on what you want to do. There's some great tutorials how you get started on it. I was able to deploy, create my own web service. I was not able to extend or use the fields that they had created or extend that, but it's quite possible to change these data here. So in this next section, I'll just go through how we deal with integration and what was happening in this process. So the first step was whenever someone did a change in the Cloud for Customer system, the system would trigger 3 kind of messages. The first was the customer, the second was the customer address, and the third one was the contacts. With the normal packages, these were mapped to iDocs, and you could start dealing with those. We did not want to deal with iDocs in this instance, so we ignore the contacts, and then we queried the system again just to get all of the contact. I think as default it will just give you the main contact or something like that, but some customers may have multiple different some accounts may have multiple different contact persons, and we wanted to get all of these. And also these interfaces did not contain all the different information that we wanted to have. So that's why we wanted to just go and update those. So when we got all the information, if the process was relevant, we would trigger we would trigger the we would trigger this update that would create a new customer, updated the customer. If we created a customer, we would get a customer number back, and we'll call the SAP system back and say, oh, we got this new customer number for this one, and I think the responses here we'll just ignore for the time being. Then next up was we would call the contacts. For each of the different contacts, we would create new contact, and I think we saved all of the new contact lists, and then we updated the contacts at the end with these information. The challenge is whenever you deal with these two integration, that is updating something on the customer, we would start getting a new set of these messages. So everything would just start over again, and that was sometimes a bit frustrating. So whenever we from the third-party system wanted to create a customer, there was also some challenges there. So we created the customer, and the best way I found out to do that was to use the same interface that SAP have. Here there's a create customer, and with that you can put in an SAP customer number. And what we did was we just did a wait until the process was okay. Then we queried to see did this customer create it. And if it did not create it, it could be because that the SAP customer number we are trying to use did not exist already. So we called the same web service again, went back, deleted the SAP custom number, and just used the standard numbering of it. And then we sent a signal to the other process that do not process this next message, because it's initiated from the third-party system or the PI system. So that was just a way we did the signaling. So we called the update customer, and I think we would just give the response back. I think we used the customer information with some extent of figuring out do we have to update this or not. Next was did I miss one? Contact update. Here we created the same flow. We just queried the account to get when we update a contact, we want to be able to put it at the right address, and that was causing some issues there. How we dealt with that. So we needed to get an address for the customer. We did that using this query the account, got all the information back, and then we just updated, added the contact. The only difference was if it was a new one, SAP would not get the UUID of this. If it was one that already existed, we would just add a new information into this one, use the message ID as the UUID for this contact, and then everything was working just smoothly. Yeah, so we talked about the update. Whenever something changes, you'd get these three messages: the customer, the main address, not all the addresses because a customer can have multiple different addresses, and the contact persons. And yeah, we did this, well, whenever we did any of these things, we would get this message, and this was what I read with we want to just remove these values. Not update the third-party system again using this information. So numbering of customer object, this caused a lot of confusion and stuff like that. So there's two kind of number ranges. There's the internal number range that is defined, and I think it's a standard. It's using the 100,000 number range, but that can be changed. So whenever you create a new business, a customer, it will get be in this number range. The internal ID, if you're creating data from a third-party system, you also have the option of use a different internal ID, and we opted for using I think it was 300,000 or something like that, that range. And then we just used the number range generator in the B2B add-on to handle this. Or you could just have a alphanumeric number range if you want to use that. Each customer also have an external ID, and the external ID is meant for SAP customer data. So if you have a SAP customer data, it will be in this section, and you'll be able to see it there. The thing is, it has to be unique. You cannot use the same SAP ID in any other situation. And yeah, so, and sometimes I don't know why it will just use a different number range or something like that. So sometimes it's not working as I expect. Most of the time it is working, but for some reason sometimes I'm not able to figure out what's going on. Yeah, I guess we got this one covered. Monitoring. There's 3 places we can monitor messages. One, this was the first one I looked into, was the business communication monitoring. And this one works really well. It shows all the different messages that is coming through. This is nice. One challenge I found with it was it is 10 to 15 minutes delayed. So whenever we were doing testing and figuring out did the communication work between PI or whatever, it's like, well, did we change anything, or why is that not working? And it was just a mess until we found out, well, it's just 10 minutes delayed, or 15 or whatever it is. So you'll not be able to see instantaneously what's going on in this one. But this one is quite nice. You get information about, well, here we have the internal number that's using it, that's updating this information. So it gives you quite a lot of valuable information you can use in this context here. The other place, all of them is in the admin console. You can see all of them there. There's this web business monitoring where I think it's actually the same one. It's just you just select a different show up here. This one just shows you what the technical errors is, and if you scroll down, you'll be able to see what's the area or problem we are getting with this one. And then the last one we saw was some of the errors that we are getting. This one shows immediately what's going on. So this is a great way whenever you're testing, you get some strange thing, what's going on. Is anything going, or this would give you some idea on the errors. A bit of a wish list. I would like to have information about who changed the data. So in my interface, I could see that. I think in our project, we'll probably have been better off if we have known our SAP numbers and what was going on there. And our master data was updated. One thing was that, well, Cloud for Customers is really picky about the addresses. If you're creating an address in Denmark, the postal code has to be 4 digits. If you put in 5 or anything else, it will say, well, this is not a valid postal code for this country, and you are just being kicked out. So you have to figure out much more about your master data before you start doing a conversion. And we did use the interface for the conversion, which was good, it worked, but if we had known some of these things, it would probably have been a lot better. QA, I guess that's not matters often. So please leave a comment below wherever you see this. Share it with everybody so we get the word out on what's happening in this context. So some links. Cloud for Customers is a great place to start. There's this blog about viewing content, and you have the Cloud for Customer application studio here. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to hear your Cloud for Customer experience, how it was, and if it was anything useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.